following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, a.k.a. the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua.
Welcome, everybody, to Exit Team Nashua. My name's Jessie, and I am your host this evening. Tonight in the studio, I am blessed to have Richie here with me. Richie, thank you so much for coming.
Let's bless ourselves. It's fantastic to be here. It's fantastic to be back.
Yes, yes.
It's incredible. I just a quick story. I started here, got to be 5 years ago.
5 years you've been doing
5 years
this?
ago.
Wow.
I think it was that time because 5 years ago, I started right here. And so it's like, as I was driving here tonight after a year off with this pandemic, I was saying, can you swear on this show? I forget.
I think they edited it out.
I'm kidding. So so it's great to be back and for everything we have planned and all that.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. And great to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. So I wanted to let everyone know that, so I invited Richie here tonight because we wanted to get him back into the studio. And it was an opportunity for me to share my story with Richie. And I haven't shared my story yet with the audience. So Richie's going to interview me. And we're going to learn a little bit about Jessie tonight. So thank you for doing that.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that it's not all about me tonight?
Weird.
Come on, man. This is weird. Where are the cameras so I can see I want to see, is there too much light coming off my bald head?
No, you look beautiful.
Do I look good?
You look beautiful.
All right. So first of all, it's really great to be back. As I was saying that being away, as you know, I had the Boston exit team and things happened and everything shut down. And
are they still totally shut down there?
BNN TV is still down. I guess the mayor is he's leaving. He's going to Washington, and maybe he's already in Washington. I'm not sure. So they haven't opened up yet. Mm-hmm. But we're going to go back in, and of course some good news coming out of the exit team soon.
Yes.
And how we're going to just blast this to help people. But since I've heard all these wonderful stories about you. But never knew your story. I get this opportunity to come to your show to interview you. Yeah. So tell me.
Yeah. So for me, let's see. I grew up on the seacoast and went to Exeter High School. My parents are still married. We had a nice house. Everything appeared to be really good, and there was love in my house. I love my parents dearly. I thank God that they have stood by me. But there was normal alcoholism, I guess, if you can call it that, right? Substance use or alcoholism going on, and it was very functional though. And I didn't even really realize that was like happening, I guess, when I was a kid.
But when you talk about being a kid, like when did you, because I'm trying to just jump back and from myself being a junkie and stuff from an early age, I felt a certain way.
Oh,
so,
right.
You know what I mean?
So I guess it's like all stems from the codependency, right? I was this middle child and I just felt different, right? Like I felt like nobody really wanted me around, and that, I used to say, because I had a younger brother and an older sister, I used to say, you guys, you're this little foursome, you'd be better off without me. Right. I'm the black sheep. And I really wore that like a badge, kind of like I felt like they gave me that label. I probably gave that label to myself. But so I really started I had these friends that were like, they lived in the neighborhood and they were like the most popular girls in school. And so I really compared myself to them a lot. So like, it was like, oh, well, they're the prettiest. They have the nicest clothes. They're the best at soccer. And here I am like this follower kind of, you know? And so I remember I got like really picked on and bullied by this kid in the cafeteria. And I mean, he probably like liked me or something, right? And he probably had like severe problems going on at home, right? You know, so he picked on me. And at the time he was—
How old were you like?
I was like 7th grade. So I was like, what, like 12, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, nobody even likes you. Why are you even sitting here? Like everyone hates you. And he just like ridiculed me, you know? And I like remember this moment, and I remember like and just feeling horrific, right? And like not going home and telling my parents, not talking to my friends about it, just pretending like it didn't happen, right? But I remember going up into my bedroom and closing the door, and I remember I cried, and I just felt so awful inside, right? Like this horrible wrongness. And I now know today that that was shame, right? But at the time, it was like, you are horribly bad, and you can't let anyone see this, right? So at that moment, I made this decision that I never wanted to feel that way again, right? And like so I was never really going to let anyone see the real me again. And I just started following the crowd. And it worked, right? Like I followed the crowd, and I got the right clothes, and I said the right things.
Were you an athlete?
I was a soccer player, and I worked really hard and got good at soccer.
Yeah.
So now I'm good at soccer. I'm getting invited to all the parties. I got to sit at that lunch table, and I didn't want anyone to question why I was sitting there, right? And they didn't, and it worked. But it didn't, right? Because I traded my authenticity for approval, right?
Right.
And it left me like just being a follower and feeling like a fraud. And I never developed who I was, right? So like, I never knew like, oh, what did Jessie want to be when she grew up? You know, I didn't have an answer to that question. I had no dreams. I had no likes, you know, like what made me me? Well, what makes you you? Because I'll just say that's what I like. So because that was safe, right? Like that way I didn't say the wrong thing and then you make fun of me, right? And that's where that fear kind of came in.
There's a great saying out there that I say, do you remember who you wanted to be before the world told you who to be?
That's a good one.
You know, when you think of that, and that's what you're basically talking about. But for a second before you go on, why do you think we as addicts and alcoholics and people that abuse food, or you know, as addicts, right, in general, why do you think we don't feel that we're worth anything when a moment like that happens? Why is it that people can't go to their parents or go to a teacher or go? What is it that?
I know for me, I thought that like love was conditional, right? Like that love was like a transaction,
right?
You know, so like I had to earn it,
you know, and like I didn't go home and tell my parents because I didn't want them to take their love away, right? I was fearful that they would say, oh, God, now we know she's a loser, right? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I didn't know that at the time.
No, I know what you're saying, yeah.
But like, I think looking back, that's what I was afraid of, you know? And like, had I done that, right? Like my mom would have probably comforted me and told me if she knew what I was, of course she would have. My mom loves me more than anything, right? Sure. But she didn't know that that's what I was feeling. And so, you know, there was a lot of like, maybe my dad was kind of like emotionally unavailable, right? Yeah. Like, you know, because he was working a lot and had, you know, emotions aren't something he talked about, right? So
and it's hard being, and when you look at it, like my father was crazy, right? But when you look at it, it's hard being a parent, right? I like I told you, I have 5 kids with different wives. No, but no, but it's hard. You make all kinds of mistakes.
Yeah.
And
like, so in my son now, like, I mean, I see kind of this stuff happening with him, you know, and I try and try. Jameson, tell me anything. Like, how are you feeling? Like, you know, and I try to get into all these fields and like, I tell him these stories so he understands that like, you don't have to go through this alone, you know, but I think he's probably holding a lot of it in, right? And like, I don't know. I think it's that we're like, I don't know, Richie.
Yeah. So
what do you think?
You know, the thing is, I've found from my 15-year-old son now, Aiden, that, you know, because of all these years and all these mistakes I made, I'm in a great place that I'm an old guy looking at this, and I made a lot so I can see. I still will make some with him, but now I can call him in my office and say, come here, Aiden, sit down, right? And I can go, I know you might be feeling like this. I know you might be feeling, I'm not saying you are, but just, and I think part of it, they're teenagers, right? Growing up in this whacked world we live in, right? They're gonna adore. All you can try and do is say, you can talk to me. I love you. You're gonna need, in 5 years, you're gonna need all the help you can. So one way or another, you're gonna be okay. But if I can help you now, I'm here for you. But at that point, there had to be a point when you were feeling like that. Because I remember myself, when did you decide to take the leap into something to make you feel?
Into substances?
Right.
So I guess for me, like I had that, I don't know. I mean, I remember like, you know, my cousins were drinking and then seeing it, you know, seeing people drink, partying was cool, right? So like, I remember drinking and smoking weed and getting outside of myself. And like, I feel like right away I knew that I would have to give it up at some point. You know what I mean?
Right,
like I knew that like this
is too good.
This is too good. This is something that I knew. I knew in my heart that I was probably going to get hooked on. But I found an escape, and I found a solution to the way that I was feeling, to that discomfort, that shame, that self-hate went away. And so I was 15, and I think my cousins gave me some hard cider.
Yeah.
We were up at the lake, and they were older than me, and they were partying, and there was this big bonfire with all these guys, and the guys are looking at me, and it's like, yeah, here I'm getting this attention, and this is cool. This is cool, right? And then like in high school, you'd hear these stories about these parties, right? And like, oh, it was a cool thing to do to get invited to the party on the weekend, right? Like I thought that was cool. Like I wanted to have a story about blacking out. Like what? You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be at the party when the cops busted it up, you know what I mean? And like I thought having these war stories would like give me some like credibility or make me like put me on the map or something. I don't really know, but I thought that would give me some kind of something worth it, you know? And like here are my parents like planning these ski trips for us, trying to, you know, take us on vacations. And I was like, I don't want to go because I didn't want to miss the parties that were going to take place.
The parties and the thing, part of what I look at as being, you know, the bad boy or girl is like everybody loved you. They were either afraid of you or they wanted you in their crowds, right?
Right.
So what people don't know, I don't know if it was the same for you, but those parties gave you power. You didn't have to hate yourself anymore, right?
Right.
That's the key. Now, when did you step over the line?
Well, so for me, like I was like, you know, got voted like, you know, most mischievous in my high school. You know what I mean? I got suspended sophomore year from school for getting caught drinking. Like I was just like the ringleader of the pack, you know. I was always getting in trouble, and so it was negative attention, but it was attention, right? You know, and I don't know. I guess I didn't realize it at the time, like that I was getting attention from my parents, but I want more? I don't know. So I liked that attention. I liked this like I'm this bad girl thing,
So you graduated from Exeter?
I graduated from Exeter. I went to UNH.
Yeah.
I found Adderall right away and Coke, but like Adderall, there was like, it was flooded, the campus.
Sure.
Everyone's going to the doctor at UNH saying they have ADHD. So I'm buying multiple scripts.
Yeah.
I went from a size like 8 to a size 0 freshman year.
Wow.
And I remember my sister saying to me, why do you look emaciated? Like, what's wrong with you? You know? And I was like, oh, haven't been eating that much. You know what I mean? But like, I literally was just taking Adderall.
Yep.
It was just like the best,
Yeah.
right? And Adderall's just like legal meth. Right? You know?
That's it.
And so Adderall is probably the root of my story.
Yeah.
So I found it when I was 18. I was on Adderall until I was about 33.
Wow.
Constantly.
Yeah.
So it was just like in the end, it was just like a baseline, like 100 milligrams a morning just to get me out. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
There would be periods of time where like I would, you know, lose the connections or not have the, you know what I mean, run out of it or whatever. It was always.
Would you snort it or would you?
I did for years, and then I eventually got to the point where I couldn't sniff anything anymore.
Right, you lose
I would get a sinus infection if I even tried to put anything up my nose.
Right.
But so college, I somehow graduated from UNH. You know, I don't know how. It was, you know, Beirut, playing Beirut every night. You know, beer pong.
Yeah.
There was coke. There was ecstasy. You know, I went on spring break with me and 11 guys. Wow. Like, I wanted to be like,
yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I don't know why, but like, I wanted to like have all these guy friends, and like, I didn't like other girls. You hear that in the halls all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Right? That we don't get along with
girls
our kind or whatever.
And,
yeah. So, I like wore that like a badge. Like, I was like the pillhead, the pot smoker, like, and you know what's funny is looking back, right? Like, I didn't have an identity, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know who the fuck I was.
Right. Because
I was so afraid to be myself.
Yeah.
So drugs gave me this safe identity, right? And like, there was always someone that was gonna like me and my drugs, right?
Yeah.
So like, they gave me this safe identity.
But when did you step it up to the next level?
So I graduated UNH. I got really bad into coke afterwards. I met my son's father, and I had a child.
When did you meet him? He's
from Portsmouth.
Yeah.
And I met him at a party, and I was fresh out of college. I was like 22. We, you know, just started doing lots of coke and drinking, and so we had like lost our connection, and so like stopped doing coke, and then I like got pregnant a couple months later, and like I had gained a bunch of weight because like I had no solution to the way I felt, so I would eat, right? Like, I didn't understand addiction.
Sure.
I just knew that like I couldn't get coke anymore, and I maxed out all my credit cards, right? So like I was like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing now, you know? Yeah. And then I got pregnant, so it was like awesome, right? I'm pregnant now. I hadn't been using, things were good. And it was like a really happy time for me. I had my son. I bought a house in Epping. My dad owns Hurlburt Toyota, a car dealership.
Yeah.
And I worked there. I was like a manager, and things were really good. And I had this nice little house in Epping, and I had this little family, right?
Yeah.
And then I met Perk 30s.
Oh, man.
Literally, my son was an infant. And that's when they were working, though. Like, they worked. Like, I could get my son to daycare. I could work 60 hours a week. I could clean the house. I could be a good employee, right? Like, I could like mow the lawn really good. You know what I mean? Like, they literally were like my helper pills, right? And so like in the beginning, the Perk 30s, the little blues, like, I would take like a little sliver, like a couple times a week, right? And like this little sliver would enable me to clean the house, make dinner, do all the things that I needed to do, and feel really good while I was doing it.
A true junkie. Because most people that took those wouldn't be able to do what. That's what I'm always telling people. When I used to get high, right? It was like, whoa, let's go, man.
It was like, I didn't do it to nod off.
Right.
I was doing it because it made me better.
Yeah.
It was a helper.
At first.
So then in the end, fast forward like 3 years later, I am taking 10 Perk 30s a day.
Oof.
And I had had a connect.
At $30 a pop.
Well, I had had an arrangement with somebody. You know, I don't want to disclose that at this time, but so
I can guess.
It was working really well, right? So then all of a sudden, the arrangement's over. I can't support your habit anymore. And
you're going to have to figure this out. So now I'm paying $30 a piece.
Oof.
And that's
$300
a day, right?
Yeah.
And so I was making decent money at the dealership, but
not $300 a day.
No. So I could see the bottom coming. And what I did was someone had told me about Suboxone, and I went to see a Suboxone doctor.
Suboxone, I love that.
And
a Suboxone doctor.
And he was like, good news. It's not your fault. Like you know, I like to mention this part. Like, so here I am. I would cry in the shower every morning and promise myself that I wasn't going to do them that day. Right. Yeah. Like, and I could pass that lie detector test, right? Like literally you're not going to do them today. You don't want to do this anymore. And then by lunchtime, I'm like making up an excuse why I need to leave work. My child's at daycare and they're out of diapers. Like, what kind of excuse is that? But and I'm speeding to Manchester 1,000,000 miles an hour, almost died multiple, you know what I mean? Multiple times, just crazy stuff. And I couldn't understand why. I literally didn't realize, I didn't know that I had the equivalent of like a raging heroin addiction.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was on an opiate and I was physically dependent. I just thought I was mentally weak. Right. Like, I just thought I just had no willpower.
So did the Suboxone help you?
So the doctor's like,
bring it down?
Yeah, you're going to have to, you know, go on these Suboxones and like, you'll be fine. Like, you know, maybe you need 3 a day, 3 strips a day, 8 milligram strips.
Right.
Okay. Nobody needs 3 strips a day. If you're out there taking 3 strips a day, you're lying to yourself. You don't need that much. So I would go home, and he was like, you might have to stay on them forever, but you know, at least you won't be on drugs.
Right.
And I was like, sounds good, right? Because he wasn't like, you got to change the way you're living, right? You know, like, I don't want to change the way I'm living, like put work in, you know? So like, perfect solution. This is great.
You know, the thing I just want to jump in, because the one thing I remember about these shows, it's been a year, is they go quick, and we have 5 minutes. I want to make sure, but I'm not a big Suboxone fan, so and I'll stay away from that. You know,
yeah.
But so when did you like bottom out and all the, you know?
So Suboxones didn't work, right? Exactly. So then I meet a guy, Joey, God rest his soul. And he was addicted to heroin. Yeah. And I had split from my son's father because it was all him, you know, because I couldn't see my part in anything. Yeah. And so Joey was addicted to heroin. And you know, I was going to help him, right? You know, I was going to give him Suboxone and he was going to get off of it, you know. And then one day it was like, I had this thought that like, maybe I could try it. You know, I literally had never even entertained. Like, the thought had never even entered my mind.
Did you snort it first?
No.
Shot it right.
Shot it right up. He put the needle in my arm.
You were gone from that point on.
Right. So so I was, and there was this part, I like to mention this too. There was this part of me that the day that I was like, he was dope sick, right? Yeah. So I was like, let's go to Lawrence. Let's go.
Right.
Because like he would lie to me, but like I knew what he was up to, right? So I was like, let's go see your guy. Right. And there was this part of me that wanted him to say, I love you too much. Like, I'm not going to let you do that. Right. And even if he had said that, I would have said, we're still doing it. Right. But part of my heart broke when he didn't. Right. And he said, get your wallet. Let's go.
Yeah. So how far, because I'm trying to look, I'm watching the clock. How far did that take you?
Yeah. So it took me all the way. Okay. It took me all the way. I hit every jackpot, right? Okay. Like,
what's the lowest it took you?
I mean, I did things to get drugs that, you know, I don't want to talk about on here. I went to jail. Multiple. I've been probably to every jail in the state. I've probably been to 10 rehabs. So my rock bottom was finding Joey dead on my birthday 4 years ago. And I'd gotten kicked out of treatment and he had been trying to get better. And I called him and I said, it's my birthday, get me a bag of dope. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that for you. We're not doing this anymore. And I said, it's my birthday, you're doing it. And a couple hours later,
he stopped answering the phone, and I went down to Wilmington and I found him in his room. And I knew from the second I saw him that he wasn't coming back.
He bought the bag for you, but why? But the junkie nature, he couldn't.
He couldn't, yeah. So he died off that bag of dope that I convinced him to get for me after he was trying to get well, and so that's where, he is the light that shines out of me and helps me guide other people to the other side of the darkness. It's almost like I feel like he sacrificed his life for mine, because I would never have gotten clean if he was alive.
Yeah.
Because, and we really loved each other too. It wasn't like this abusive relationship or anything. He loved me a lot, and he, wouldn't let me do unspeakable things to get drugs for us or anything. You know what I mean? He really protected me and stuff. And he was also he would keep me in check, right? Like keep me safe, making sure I wasn't doing things that the police were going to pull me over, or keeping me away from getting myself in trouble. So then when he was gone, that's when shit hit the fan, because I was just reckless, right? It's just totally reckless, right? So I like to talk about recovery too, right?
Yeah, let's talk about what because we get a minute and 20 seconds.
So
what would be the one thing that you told someone's going to be watching the show and be, oh my God? What would you tell them to do? What was the best thing?
So I went to an AA meeting. I knew, a 12-step meeting, in the fellowship, in the halls. I say it on here because people need to know that's where the solution lies. In 12-step programs. I got a sponsor. I got willing to work the steps. Do things that I didn't want to do, right? And the other thing that I really liked, the message I like to give, is that self-love isn't a feeling that you're gonna just get one day. It's an action, right?
Yeah.
So put the action in and you'll get the feeling. So I always think people will say, you have to love yourself. And I was like, well, I'm fucked then, right?
Yeah.
Because I hate myself. And I knew that in my heart. I didn't realize that if I did things that were kind to myself.
So love is the answer.
Love is the answer.
You got 20 seconds. Wrap up your show.
So love and connection is the answer. If you're struggling, reach out. There are people out there that want to help you. You are worthy of love and connection also. And thank you for coming, Richie.
Thank you for, so I can't wait to talk to you more. And I'm sure as we go, it was great having you.
Yeah,
great you having me. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, Richie.
All right.
So thanks everyone for coming tonight and watching. We are going to do a part 2 episode. I know that we just went into the before, and I definitely want to spend some time talking about the after and how the transformation and the recovery process happened, because that is so important. And I want to thank everyone for watching tonight, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.